Hello, everybody. Ed Parcaut here with Francisco Ruvalcaba. Thanks for coming in the studio today.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. All right. So a lot of things been going on lately. Recently, the Biden administration thing that came out on Monday, where it says it's going to help people with the lower FICO score go conventional. And I saw on the news over the weekend, somebody was reporting that somebody with a 650 FICO score, it would normally cost them $8,000 for that rate. Now only costs them $4,000. And I'm like, okay, well, that sounds like great. So what it is, I ran numbers, and it is better to still go FHA because I said the one thing it won't do is fix the mortgage insurance, right? So if you're 3% down, you're going to have mortgage insurance.
Right.
So I did 3% down conventional, and I did FHA, which is 3.5% down. So same FICO score, and FHA. So conventional was 7.5%, and the mortgage insurance was $579. This is on a $500,000 purchase, right? Mm-hmm. The mortgage insurance was like $579, and 7.5%, right? Conventional doesn't sound like it's better. FHA would be around 6.5%, and these are just the same cost. I'm not going through the APR and all that. I'm just looking at what each loan would be. It was 6.5%, and its mortgage insurance was $220 because that's the standard mortgage insurance.
Right.
So it's still better to go FHA. So I don't know what they plan on doing with this extra money they're taking from the people with great FICO scores.
Well, because even with the FHA, right? Like recently the MI also dropped, right?
So yeah, it went from 0.85 to 0.55.
Yeah, that's a big difference too. And that's the thing is, I mean, exactly like you say, right? Like, where is that going to leave the conventional buyers eventually? Like, is that just something where, I mean, I feel like it's already been the thing where, it's a no-brainer, go conventional if you have 20% down, but if not, explore other options, right?
It has to do with FICO scores too, period. It's not just that, right? Because if you have a 650 FICO score and you have 20% down, you're not going conventional.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. So it's
you want to go with whatever the lowest payment is, right? And I was trying to explain to somebody else, because I have a scenario where someone's doing a cash out refinance to get some money to pay something else off. And when you run all the numbers and the debt to income ratios, in order to get them the max that they need to go FHA. They're going to have a ton of equity, and a lot of them are going to say, but why do I have to have mortgage insurance? Because FHA requires mortgage insurance if you put down payment, right, of 10% or greater, you only have it for 11 years or till you refinance. But it allows you to push the ratios to get more money and expand the purchasing power. Are you following me here?
Yeah. Well, obviously, like, depending on, loan limits and everything, but still, I see what you're saying. I mean, you're going to qualify.
Loan limits is still on a purchase is 517, for a FHA, where conventional is above 726, 500, but still you're not going to do the max conventional at a 650 FICO score with 3% down.
Yeah, doesn't make sense.
You just can't afford it. It's just too costly where you have to go FHA. So you're going to be stuck in that price point, period, until you fix your credit and get it above 700. But then now what have they done? They've now made it more costly for you to qualify for that loan if you have above a 700 FICO score.
And with that, so from what I had read, they said it was like a $40 a month difference, right? Something like that. Like, for a lot of people, like, that's kind of what they're averaging it out.
Oh, really?
That's what I had seen.
Well, right? But all right, if it's 1% cost, if it's a $500,000 loan, if it's a 1% cost, that's $5,000 that they have to absorb in that rate.
Yeah.
So that's more than.
It's way more. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too, right?
They could be going. It's 100. We're talking 150,000. That's the average loan, right?
I mean, well, honestly, most of these average loans, I think,
300 nationwide, 350. And that's why it's not correct. These numbers that people are throwing out, it doesn't matter until you actually look at the numbers. Numbers don't lie. News reporters do.
Yeah. And then as far as that too,
not all of them, of course. That was a general statement.
No, but like, even with the so with that difference, right? Like, so is it also affecting people? I mean, because that it's only an increase on their tax, right?
No. People are calling it a tax because it actually increases your cost of the rate, right? So when we look at so LLPAs, which a lot of places we don't have loan level pricing adjustments except for how much down, right? What's the LTV? Is it 3% down or is it 20% down? There's a difference in adjustment in that number. What, cost wise, is it an investment property? Is it a primary residence? Primary residence doesn't have it, but investment property have a different. Second home would have a different add-on for that. And if you know anything difference between a primary residence and a second home, or just say, let's just say investment property, right? The difference between two, that it's a cost of 5/8 difference in a rate. That is like a 2 3/4 costs that we have to absorb in that pricing, right? So that is, if it costs 5/8 more to offset that cost, that means it's going to cost an average person that's only 1%, a quarter to 3/8. So whatever that difference in the payment is, every eighth for most people is about $38 to $40.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's only an eighth, yeah, you're right, it's $40. But what if it's 3/8 to absorb that? That's $100 and some dollars.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just the principle, right? But still,
to me, I still think it's a money grab. I still think it's the same thing Fannie and Freddie did during the huge refinance boom, where they said, oh, starting next month we're going to charge 0.5% more for the same thing just because.
Right. I mean, it's like, how does that help even the
that wasn't helping anybody. That was just helping them put more money in their pockets.
Right. Well, that's where it's like I'm saying, I mean, with this new one that came out, right? And then it's like, oh, if you have lower credit, then you don't have to pay this much. But it's kind of like, why not just charge those people less rather than charging us? Or is that how they're doing it? They're offsetting it by charging.
Supposedly, but what we're saying, this is why it was done by people who have no freaking clue what's going on.
Yeah.
Meaning that, yes, it is still cheaper. However, it is still ridiculously more expensive than going FHA in the same rate, FICO score.
Mm-hmm.
You follow me?
Yeah. I mean, well, that's where it's like I'm saying though, it's like, what's the point?
The point is they found a way to get more money to do their ESG programs, and we'll just move on.
No,
because here's the thing about Fannie and Freddie. All right, so they were private institutions. Then in 2008, when the whole market fell apart, they were put in receivership by our government, and the government took them over. For the past, I don't know, since 2012, they've been making a lot of money. They could have been out of receiverships for many years, but the problem was they were making billions off of it. Why would you give up something that you're making billions off that you can put into your administration to use for something else? That's where we are. So not only are they making billions, now they want to make even more money. And this is my take on it. I take it as they're really not going to help a lot of people. They're going to help morally. They're going to help themselves more than anything else. And that's my take on it, because run the numbers. Because the one thing, even if they help with the FICO score, they're not going to help with the mortgage insurance, right?
Yeah.
And for most people, they're purchasing a home, they're not putting 20% down.
Yeah, it's mostly that 3.5,
3 to 5. Well, I'm just saying, if they're doing 3% down, first time home buyer conventional, I ran the numbers. That thing was for $500 a month for mortgage insurance. That means it had to been over 1 point something. If I was working off a $500,000 purchase price, right, it had to be 1 point something. Yeah. And you have FHA is only 0.55. It just run the numbers. It tells you what makes sense. That's what I'm saying. Even though they say it's cheaper, and that's what they're going to do, because this amount of people is going to pay for this amount of people. No, this amount of people is going to pay for this to go over somewhere else and not be used. Wow, we have a surplus. We were shocked to know that we had a surplus of this money.
Yeah.
We had no idea that was going to happen.
No, and then, well, and that's why, as we continue moving forward.
I'm sorry, I'm negative this week. I apologize.
No, it's frustrating. Like, I think, like I said, it's pretty backwards. And the biggest part of it is that, like you said, it's only propelling them. I mean, granted, hopefully we'll see, like, I would say, okay, you know what? It's worth it if we see at least more incentivizing programs for everybody, right? That like if that money's getting recycled, but like how much is it? How much is actually going back into, you know, us, right?
And for me, I would much rather do this. We have a moratorium, and we want you to fast track multiple uh, projects for single family homes for people to move into. We want to fast track them. We want to have them done in 6 months in California. We want to, and we're going to get rid of all the builder fees to help with this program. The government is now going to take their money and pay into these programs to get housing put into place. It's been done in the 50s and 60s, and the government got involved and actually did something. That's not what's happening right now. We want to make it so more people can buy. We don't have the product for people to buy. So what you're doing, you're causing again inflation and for values to go up. So who are they helping? They're helping the BlackRocks of the world. They're helping the big companies who own all these rental properties go up in value. And this is my take on it. That's where I have a problem. If they really want to do something, help build houses.
Right. Use that money, you know, but yeah, seriously. I mean, and that's the thing too, is, you know, exactly like you said. I mean, pushing all this money out and trying to incentivize people to go out there, it's just stirring. It's exactly like what the Dream program did, right? Like it's slingshot everything. I feel like we were pretty healthy, and then it slingshot it, and now we're, you know, back at like this somewhat like slow phase again, which is why it's like I've been trying to tell everybody, and exactly like you said, you're not going to know those numbers until you speak with, you know, you, right? Like unless if somebody actually goes to you. And I was just talking with someone who's like trying to think of making a move from the Bay over here, and it's the same thing, you know, all these ideas and everything. We want to buy land, we want to do this. You never know where you're at until you actually take that first step. And to understand and see the numbers, I mean, everybody's situation is different. You know, a lot of the times people ask for like a rough idea. It's hard to give a rough idea. You really need to see, because everybody's specific situation is so different. But yeah, no, that's crazy, because it's like, again, we, like you said, if that money was actually utilized to go towards that, I'm all for it.
Yeah, if they, you know what, we're going to charge people with good credit more so that we can help fast track programs in states like California and other places where there are just not enough homes. I'd be all for it, but that's not what's going to happen. They're going to be put into some stupid program that none of us want. So we have, our military has to be, you know, electric now, so we can only go to wars that they have plugins for us.
Man,
we can't come to Somalia because we can't get our vehicles to charge over there. Give me a break. Anyway, so and again, to stay on topic, because I'm getting off a little bit myself. We need programs that fast track building houses in California. I know there are a bunch of builders who have houses and they're slowly doing them. Well, if they were able to get lots done in a faster time period and fast track them and lower costs, they would build more homes that are a little bit more affordable. They can't build affordable homes because it makes no money for them to do it. You follow me? Because of the cost. If permits cost $26,000 and this other cost this other, and you still haven't even done anything with a lot, of course it's too expensive. And again, we can help people who have lots and want to build a house. We have, you know, construction of perm loan with 10% down, or VA with no money down. We have those programs now, and you can, you know, if you have the lot already, it's like a refinance, and it can be done in a short period of time. It's fast. It's the same company I use for everything else. They came up with it, and they're fast on it. And it's the same. I have a 1% down conventional program where we'll cover up to 2% of your down payment, but they're really only $4,000 and, you know, max, which doesn't help most of the people. Plus you got to be, you know, 50% of the AMI, which really doesn't, you know, it's a great program, but doesn't really work for anybody in our area because they can't afford a house that numbers work with. Right.
I think that's like, right. That's the toughest aspect of it, especially in California, is the inventory, right? No matter which way.
So the bottom line is we don't need more programs. We don't need more incentives. What we need is more homes. Period. Get out of the way of people building homes. This government is in the way in California. You know, I want you to build. No, you don't. If you really wanted to, let's get the land to the people, make it a fast track process. If you have the lots, you have everything done, it takes about a year, 2 years max, right, to get it done. But if you don't have any of that in place, it could be 15, 20 years. It takes forever to build a overpass, you know, a bridge that's already there. takes still 15 years to rebuild. Why? It's already there.
No, I mean, it's like, it's the same principle too with like new homes, right? Like they don't move on to the next home until all the other ones are sold. And I think that's where
smart, but we can have more people come out there, but they're not going to, this phase is open. That phase is open.
well, that's what I'm saying is, and then it gets pricier and pricier and pricier. And it's just, you're
Demand.
just paying. Yeah. I mean, exactly. I mean, you're paying the premium at that point, until things get a little bit better. The interest rates are hot, they're like, oh, they're rock stars, right? Like it's like they're getting their houses sold like no tomorrow. But right now, I mean, even we're seeing some builders, depending on the builder and their pricing, that are sitting and willing to negotiate.
Well, they're in the 600, 700 range, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like,
again, they can't build affordable housing. $500,000 home brand new. They can't do it. You can get one in Merced for 405, but you got to live in Merced,
right? I mean, even
and that's nothing wrong with Merced. It's just a long way to commute for most people.
Yeah, a lot of those like entry level new builds, right? Like it's
Right.
I think it's almost like a $5,000 a month payment, especially with their property taxes being so high.
Well, if they have Melrose.
Yeah. So it's kind of,
again, we're not trying to be negative, but we do need more homes. We need to do more, and the only way to fix this program or fix the issue that we have with housing and everything else to make things more affordable. When I mean more affordable, where we're not going up 22% a year. That if we're only going up 4 or 5% a year on an average basis, the house doesn't get priced out. Because someone asked me a while back, how are people affording the new values of homes when the average home, if you figure from Modesto to the Bay Area, is $1 million, right? Just to say the average home, how are people affording that in this rate environment? $1 million home for some people could be $8,000 a month,
right? And I think that's why it's so important for people to get out there and buy as soon as they can, because like you said, BlackRock and all these companies that are just buying them and never intending to sell, just continue renting. I mean, and
by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't want anybody to send me stuff saying that we called out BlackRock and they're doing this. We're just, it's giving an example of companies doing it.
Right. And well, because on top of it too, it's just, it makes it harder for people to get into them. And that's the thing is, I mean, I have people who were looking 4 years ago, and houses right now that are 400, 450, they were like 250, 300 back then, right? And it was so obtainable.
More like 350, not 200.
Well, it depends. Like I mean, because I'm talking like bare minimum, like straight up entry level homes. Because I am
too, but I haven't seen a 250 in years. All right, we're talking 2020, 2012, 2013.
Yeah, no, and that's where, I mean, you would at least be able to go to like Merced, right?
Okay, maybe down there.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Like there were ways to get homes back there that were super affordable, and people just didn't do it because they're like, you know what, we're waiting. We want to wait until the right time.
I'll wait till prices go up.
Yeah, and the obtainability has just gotten harder and harder throughout the years. It's getting really hard.
Yeah, and that's why I say get my book. Understand the process and get edsbook.com. You can get it there, financial freedom. But then you know what you can do and move forward, because you still have time to get into a home. And we're not trying to like force you to get in a home. We're just saying, if you don't, we don't have enough home. Values are going to continue to go up and price a lot of people out of homes, where you're going to have to move somewhere you don't want to live.
That's what's happening.
Yeah. All right. Make it a great day. Thanks for being here, Francisco. Thank you so much. And thank you for watching, and thank you for listening.
Thank you, everybody.
All right. Make it a great day.